Thank you very much, and thank you, Games for Change, for inviting me here today. Yes, my talk today is about hacking the brain, the future of gaming. Although I'm going to apologize in advance because there won't be lots of pie charts and diagrams. I'm a storyteller and an artist, so I'll be talking from that perspective about my personal experiences of my work. I've been fortunate enough to show my work at different environments throughout the world, from gaming conferences to interactive documentary film festivals to TEDx talks. Being a storyteller, I found that I got to a point about 8 years ago where I was trying to engage with the user, and I felt that passive films were really not the future, that people really wanted to be a part of that storytelling experience. So what I create now is experiences called neurogaming. Before I started on this journey of creating neurogames, I was working in the music industry, where I would create and direct music videos, documentaries, TV commercials. And I found that I was very frustrated and not satisfied because I could see the potential power of this media, and I wanted to do more than really sell people a lifestyle, a culture, an identity, an image, which I felt that may not actually reflect who they are. I was more interested in, with media, the user is the receiver of a message. And I wanted to create experiences where they were involved in the creation of a message and a projection of their own identity. So at that time, I was also doing parkour or free running. Free running is an urban inner city sport. These are some videos from some of my projects that I've made. But the objective of parkour is to move from A to B without stopping. You only have one objective in parkour, is that you never ever stop. So as you come to an obstacle, you find a way around it, whether you go through it, round it, over it, whichever way, you just always have to keep on going. So to me, parkour was more about a belief system. And I found it really inspired me to move on from my career in the music industry and take a leap of faith. And that's when I started to create my own personal films. My objective was to simulate the experience of a free runner, because what I really wanted to do was create an experience of showing people how to move through fear and find their own route in life. So I left my career in the music industry and started to make a series of interactive video installations. This is 2012. And I was using mobile apps where you would download the software to your phone and you would very much control a screen. Now, at that point, it wasn't really about hacking the brain. It was really about simulating an experience of choice and freedom of will and to create some kind of relationship with the user. So I really felt that that wasn't representative enough of the type of experience I was trying to create, which is more about transformation. I started to work with Brunel University in their computer science and engineering department, and neuroscientists from Sussex University as well. The key thing really to let you understand is, unlike Ari before me, whose work is amazing, I'm coming from a slightly different perspective. I'm coming from an entertainment perspective, where I really feel I'm not looking at maybe people have Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or specific medical condition. I really feel that within culture, most people, including myself, suffer from some kind of attention deficit disorder. We're all constantly on our mobile devices. The concept of living in the moment is something that we occasionally may remember to do in our every day-to-day life, between all the things we have to do, all the priorities. And I really feel this responsibility that I had in music, where I wanted to redefine entertainment in a way. That I don't feel entertainment should be this thing, is that when you switch on, you switch off mentally. I think when you do entertainment, you can also have an opportunity to tune into yourself and self-develop yourself. I don't know where this concept came from of entertainment is disposable and it's automated. I'm trying to create a culture where you are developing yourself and being entertained at the same time. So I'm coming from an arts and film and wearable technology perspective. I then, inspired by this kind of ideology, I created a project called Sync Self. Now I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on the neurogaming aspect as well. So the concept of Sync Self, I'm using the metaphor of the parkour as an inspiration to me of this belief system. So this project is called Sync Self because I think that in culture, people are very concerned with making sure that their software has got the latest update. But if you look at yourself as a mobile device, say if you were iPhone or Android device as a smart device, would you be running the latest operating system? Like, am I running Karen Palmer 2016 or am I running Karen 2014? And these are questions which I'm very concerned about in terms of how we're living a life and how we're moving forward. And as free runners, we have to constantly be living in the moment and constantly be fighting our fear. So this was the inspiration for my Sync Self project. I used neurogaming in a way which would... Neurogaming is where your mind and body meets gameplay. The user would have an EEG headset on, like the lady in the picture, and it would monitor the algorithms in her brain. She would then watch the film, the interactive film, the immersive film of the free runners. If she was focused, the free runner in the film will overcome the jump. And if she's not focused, they won't. So her focus triggers a different narrative arc depending on her state of mind. So it's a self-development tool, but it's also an entertaining experience as well. In this way, I found a way where the user became the projector of the experience. This is a short video about my video installation at Sheffield University. It's not Sheffield Interactive DocFest. There's no sound. I think the sound has gone. I think the sound has gone. Did you turn the volume down? It's up full. Cool. Could you have a look? Could you? Just because they're saying something interesting. Is it just this?
Yeah, no, I think you're on. I'm not sure what sound is.
Okay, technical difficulties, no problems. What the, let's try it again. Okay, what the voiceover was saying is they're talking about the experience of actually using the film and how it affects their level of focus and how they are affected after it and how it's influencing their state of mind and how they become aware of their level of focus and their focus technique. There's some instances where people have played the film and they've become aware of their focus technique and been able to access it at will. So normally when you focus, you have a very unique technique and it's maybe something you're not aware of. And then after this experience, that's something that you can call upon when you need to. The gentleman in the film as well, he talks about how he was then inspired to go away because it really...
I'm going to do it this afternoon. So,
it's a bit
exactly,
low.
Yeah. Actually, just when the credits rolled up, I said, right, I'm going to leave the festival now, go home, and finish the scene. I'm going to do it this afternoon.
So this was a trigger. This helped you with that process.
Yeah.
So he's talking about after the experience, he was inspired to go away and continue something which had been a block for him because the project was able to move him through that block. Also, I had an occasion where a young lady was actually a free runner. She came and experienced the installation in the museum, and she was very frustrated because she couldn't overcome an obstacle. But then I asked her, what was your focus technique? And she told me it was a very classic visualization technique. And that it was like feeling the air in her hair, the air in her hair and landing on the ground and her feet on the ground. But when afterwards she Facebooked me like a month later and said, oh, I actually had a jump to do in real life. And because I remembered the technique I told you, I was able to utilize it at will. So these are the experience I'm talking about, and also just two other quick experiences. That there was a young lady who played the project in Sweden, and she was very focused and very on the experience. And there's a part in the film where it starts talking about the voices in your head and not being focused and being fearful. And her level dropped immediately, very low. I said to her afterwards, what happened there? And she said, well, I started to identify with the voices in my head. And then the professor told me she actually suffers from depression. And then what had happened is that she became too identified with the voices. But that's something that she could then work with afterwards. By comparison, there was somebody else in Sheffield, and he played the game with his mother. And when the voices said, oh, I don't think I can do this, I don't think I can overcome my fear, he then went, his level went a lot higher up. And his mother said, that's my boy, that's my boy. And I said, what happened? She said, well, he's the youngest of 7 kids. And if you tell him he can't do anything, then he gets more determined and gets more focused on what he's doing. So you can see how different people interact, and they can take that information and develop themselves further. I just wanted to quickly talk about a few other people in the UK who are doing, I wouldn't say the same as me, but the approach to using neurogaming is something which I'm doing in a unique way, but other people are doing in unique ways as well. Brendan Walker, someone I spoke with on panels, he creates thrilling experiences where people would, I'm going to just click on it really quick. His concept is to create a thrill laboratory, and then what happens is, let's move it forward a bit, that people will have experiences where they have EEG sensors on their face for facial recognition and their brain, and then what they'll do is that they will adapt the game dependent on their...
Based on the live medical data that's streaming from the riders.
Based on the live medical data streaming from the riders, they will then adapt the ride to make it more intense or less intense. So you're making a very unique, bespoke, I'm just going to go back to the presentation, very unique gaming experience. Also, this lady here, Lucinda.
Spinning on a record player designed in the 60s. So that's conducted through the classic Dream Machine. And we sonify the brain waves of each participant individually, so they have an intimate experience of their brain's interplay to the light. If they become deeply relaxed, who remains maybe quizzical and analysing it.
So what she does is that she puts neurons on their brain, and then the music will reflect their state of mind. So these are people using neurogaming for arts to create an experience. My next project, Riot, will be simulating the experience of a riot. Now, this project was very much inspired by what I'm seeing around me in terms of like a sense of global unrest, and how things which, in a time maybe a decade ago, being involved in a riot may be something which maybe wouldn't happen to most people. But when I'm looking at the type of people who are involved in riots, they're just like regular people like you and I. They're people who've gone out for political protests, and it's escalated into something maybe they weren't aware of. So Riot, I'm creating a prototype for Riot for the Festival of the Mind in Sheffield at the moment. Riot will be a 360-degree screen, and it will have binaural sound. What will happen is that you step into the middle of the 360 screen, you'll hear the binaural sound of a petrol bomb going over your head, and the words Riot will come up on the screen. A police officer will run in front of you and put a gun in front of your face. How your mind and body reacts will depend on the narrative of the film. I'm exploring looking at different types of biosensors for the body, for the face, for the mind, for the sweat level, for the heart, for the breath, to create an all-encompassing, all-body experience. So that makes you familiar with being in a dramatic environment, but in a way which is entertaining as well, but is also very much about self-development. This experience will be for the individual user as well as a group experience. I'm currently looking at various sensors at the moment and various hardware. I'm still exploring. So if any hardware companies out there are looking to find engaging ways to use their technology, feel free to approach me. But at the moment, I'm talking to several companies. One company, XSense, it looks at blood flow, temperature, motion, orientation, etc. So just in conclusion, in terms of hacking the brain, is that I personally think hacking the brain is the future of not just gaming, but most forms of entertainment. And not just it does like cognitive skills, but also it gives an opportunity for social, teamwork, self-awareness, and not just about empathy, but also other skills, because everyone's talking about empathy, but moving through other emotions, maybe actually teaching people to move through fear, which is something I'm personally very interested in. Yeah, so that's my talk. And thank you very much today. Thank you.